Hele aloha no ke anu e lue, a he wehi ano ka uka. He hoa ka ua no ala ka I, hulu pe I kana hele. E maliu mai, I ka leo kupuna, ma ke ala o ke onga. E huaka I kilohana, e kulia I ka nuu.
From baseball to banking, Billy Pieper's journey is a masterclass in hustle, humility, and leading for the greater good. We meet at the Shangri-La Museum of Islamic Art, Culture, and Design, once the home of philanthropist Doris Duke, now a center for art, ideas, and connection. Ours begins in what was her living room.
I'm a son of Hawaii, born and raised here, love this place, and I feel like lately my biggest focus has been on the fact that so many people are leaving our islands. I try and bring it all back to how do we create opportunities for local people to thrive.
Tell me about that drive, why that's so important to you.
You know, I went to Kamehameha schools, and when I think about why Princess Pauahi created or left everything she owned to start a school, it was because she thought education could be the answer to reverse what was happening to her people. And what was happening to her people were they were dying, right? Thousands of people every year, and most of it due to disease and foreign contact. But she said education will be the key. And you fast forward the tape to today. People aren't necessarily dying, but our people are leaving in the same numbers. I mean, 2023, I think it was 60,000 people left. Why I love Hawaii so much is because of the people. And that's changing, right? And when you think about what tension exists in me is that I do want people to thrive. And many times there's not opportunities here for local people to thrive. So yes, go to Texas or Vegas, right? And make a life and make a living that you can be proud of. But ultimately, if this continues, Yenji, Hawaii will be unrecognizable in 10, 15, 20 years, right? If this continues to happen, and that can't happen on our watch, right?
So as a leader, what are you doing to help stem the tide?
Affordability is the main issue. And then when you break down affordability, housing is a big expense. So what can we do as a bank to drive improved outcomes for folks when it comes to owning a home? But I think broader, when you look at, from a more broad perspective, is what can leaders do in their current role to help create improved outcomes, right? And namely in affordability, but everybody has their own kuleana in Hawaii. And what are they doing to help stem the tide of folks leaving, right? What can we bring to the potluck? So imagine the potluck is the party where the solution for what's happening is going to be made. What are we as a community bringing to the table, right? I feel like things are changing now, whereas, like I said, people are actually looking at what they can do to make a difference. Collectively looking at what can we do together in concert to make a difference. Now instead of community being gimme, put your hands down and start to work, because we're trying to do again, it's not new, but we're trying to provide hope that we're trying to bring things to the potluck. Now community, your turn too, right? It's not just sitting back and waiting.
I mean, given the scope of that challenge, you're one person. I know you say community and all those other levers that you talked about, but does it ever feel like, how can that, do you ever feel overwhelmed by this problem?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something that I think any leader, right, would feel overwhelmed. The thing though is we gotta start somewhere. It's like you can't learn how to drive in a parked car, right? So if we just sit in the car and don't move, sure, we're safe, but we're never gonna get our license, right? So we need to get our license. Like we need action, and we may not have all the answers, but we're not going to solve it in a parked car.
That urge to get out of park and into gear is not new. It's the same drive that made him a force in football and baseball at Kamehameha schools, earned him a football scholarship at UCLA, and drove him to play 2 seasons of minor league baseball. For as long as he can remember, Billy has been leading teams.
I was always, from when I was 5 years old, I was always like the biggest guy on the team. And then as a result, I guess I was probably the most bossiest guy on the team. and as a result, I was the leader on all of my teams. I mean, I was literally team captain on every team I've been on, I think, in my life. I think so.
Wow, and even when you were small.
Even when we didn't really have team captains, in Pinto and Mustang. And I think a lot of it was probably DNA. I think, that's how I'm wired. But a lot of it too was probably my size. When I started going to school, ended up being a leader in my class, right? And just, emerging into leadership roles there.
Height helped, but it was his father who set the standard. Be your best, no matter the task.
In our prayers at night, he would always ask Keakua to help make me the best that I could be. And what that meant for me was that in whatever I did, whether it was school, whether it was athletics, whether it was taking out the trash, cleaning the yard, I just had this sense of excellence where I wanted to be the best that I could be.
We know that you were a standout athlete and also standout academic. How were you able to do both?
I tried to outwork the competition. I wasn't the smartest, but I would study hard. I would prepare for exams, and I did well. And then athletics, in particular, that's where I think a lot of my work ethic comes from today, because you can't fake it. You can't cram for an athletic test. You can't cram for a physical test. You got to put the work in. And so my dad taught me that. He underscored the importance of preparation and outworking the competition. And we may not be the smartest people in the room, but we for sure will be the hardest workers.
And how has that carried over to today?
That work ethic, that discipline, helped me professionally. And so I think if you look at, the way I carry myself in the community, the humility I hope people see that I carry myself with, a lot of it comes from working hard in private, not working hard to get noticed, but working hard and outworking the competition when no one was watching.
Still ahead on A Leader's Journey.
Coach Geisen used to tell us, you can teach what you know, but you reproduce what you are, right? So you can talk the game, but people they learn more from models than manuals.
Billy takes us back to where for him it all began and reveals the moments that tested him most.
At the Hawaii Leadership Forum, we are committed to developing,
engaging, and inspiring leaders
to drive impact and catalyze positive change.
We believe leadership is an activity, not a role.
And that effective leadership is essential
to creating an even better Hawaii.
We believe in a shared kuleana to protect our aina
and to build relationships with others
through kindness,
empathy, and respect.
We believe in the power of connection
and that real transformation is possible
when people from all backgrounds
come together toward a common purpose.
We believe in the continuous pursuit of knowledge,
being curious
and open to different ideas
and perspectives.
And
we believe
that more than ever,
leadership matters.
Come along on this journey
and let's lead with aloha.
Hawaii Promise Scholarship makes it possible for students to go to school, be part of a community.
I didn't have the means to go to school. The UH Community College has opened up so many doors for me.
I hope to continue to learn, building the skills that would prepare me for a career.
I have so much gratitude towards this journey that I'm embarking on.
Your future.
Your future.
Your future is here in Hawaii.
Hawaii Promise makes it possible.
Find out more at hawaii.edu/promise.
We asked Billy Pieper to take us to the place where he feels most grounded in Hawaii. For him, it's not a beach or a boardroom, it's this bench overlooking the football field at Kamehameha School's Kapalama campus. So Billy, why'd you bring us here?
Well, this is where it all started. When I got into Kamehameha in 7th grade, I really didn't want to go to Kamehameha. Probably like most folks, they want to go to their public high school or middle school in their neighborhood. Mine would have been Neil Valley Intermediate or, ultimately Kaiser. But when I came here, I immediately signed up for all the sports. And football was the first season. And I met some unbelievable coaches that were unlike any other coach I had, in the sense that they saw something in me that I didn't necessarily see in myself. And they made it their mission to kind of pull it out of them. And so athletics really opened the door for me to understand what I really was capable of.
And what he gained here went far beyond the field.
Kamehameha provided me, I think, 3 main things. One, my wife. I met my wife here in the 7th grade. We started, we dated in sophomore year and kind of been together ever since. But it gave me a sense of pride in being Hawaiian. Again, I think part of me was shame that, depending on the group, shame that I either wasn't Hawaiian enough around my Hawaiian friends, or that I was Hawaiian amongst my Japanese friends, and that meant I was lazy or not as smart, and so Kamehameha reinvigorated in me that no, being Hawaiian is actually a gift, and you have some supernatural strength that comes from that, and then the third thing, I think one of the most important things, is it actually gave me, it provided me the foundation of my faith.
How do you carry that with you in your leadership as you go on, you mentor others, you kind of bring that coaching style, regardless of whatever the venue is?
Yeah, Coach Geisen used to tell us, you can teach what you know, but you reproduce what you are, right? So you can talk the game, but people they learn more from models than manuals or from what you say. And so that's what I try to do. I try to, embody the values, be kind, put others above yourself, work hard, right? And be proud of your ancestry, and with all of that comes, ultimately, I think one of the biggest things is this sense of responsibility.
After Kamehameha, Billy went to UCLA on a football scholarship, then spent 2 seasons playing minor league baseball. When the major leagues didn't come calling, he came home, earned his MBA from UH Manoa, and built a successful career in finance. But letting go of that first dream wasn't easy.
Part of, I think, my identity for so long has been wrapped up in athletics. And I feel like there's a certain part of me that feels like I failed, that I never made it. And so like I said, I played college football, played college baseball. I was drafted, played minor league baseball, but I never made it. I never made it to the major leagues. And I think, when I came home, it was never something conscious that I thought of, but I feel like there's this sense that I'm, and not a failure because I don't want to be doom and gloom, but that I got something to prove still. And I think over the last decade or so of my life, I finally, again, maybe not complete peace with me not making it, but I think there's more peace around that. It's less about performance, it's less about me and what I'm doing and what recognition I'm gonna get, and more service. And it feels a lot better, I think, but more importantly, I'm starting to see different types of doors open, and I think it's partly because of that mind shift around, to your point, what was one of the difficulties or tensions or challenges. It's been me versus me, right? Is this concept of trying to prove myself. And I think as leaders, the faster you can figure out that it ain't about you, the better and the more impactful you're gonna be.
It's so interesting to hear you say this, because from outside looking in, right? Standout athlete, standout scholar, on all the lists, 20 for the next 20 or what have you in our community, you've hit all those benchmarks, and now senior vice president at a major institution. So to hear you say that you have that same self-doubt that I think so many of us share, I think that's reassuring for a lot of folks.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's not something I'm faking. Yeah, it's, I think we all have strongholds. We have these things in our lives where they're lies. And the faster we can identify and then work to overcome them, I think the better off we're gonna be, not only for our own mental health, but I think for others as well.
The team captain who once relied on size and grit has evolved. Today, the father of 3 is not charging ahead, but creating space for others to rise alongside him. You mentioned your father and this black and white sort of style of parenting. How did that influence your leadership style? Has that evolved over time? Are you that same kind of a leader?
I'd like to say I'm a student of leadership. So early on in my career, and obviously in athletics, I was a leader. Maybe bossy is the best word. Like, I would just tell people what to do, right? Black and white. You go there, you do this, right? And get on people to get them to perform at the level we needed them to. I think as I evolved, my leadership style evolved. Leadership, it's an art, right? There's different types of leadership you use, but I think as I got older, especially as I moved into higher level teams, it was less about telling people what to do, being bossy. It was about leading by example. And so working hard, doing things that I was asking them to do, right? And showing them that I'm never gonna put people in a situation that I myself am not comfortable doing, right? And then it evolved into this sort of more influence model, where it was about winning hearts and minds and showing people that I legitimately cared about them and their success. It's kind of like how I look at my role as a parent. Like in the beginning, right? You tell your kid exactly what's right, what's wrong, what to do, what not to do, punish, and right? But as they get older, you move from this coach to more of a consultant, right? Where now you're making decisions on the same side of the table with your son or daughter, right? And I feel like that's how my leadership style evolved, or over the course of my professional career.
Coming up, at a time when so many are choosing to leave, why Billy is staying and fighting for Hawaii.
We are in a crisis. Parents are skipping meals in order to feed their children. Some of our own neighbors will not have enough food to put dinner on the table for their families tonight. This is not okay. When you donate to Hawaii Food Bank, you join us in believing that nobody in our islands, our home, deserves to go hungry, that everybody deserves access to safe and healthy food. Mahalo, we truly appreciate your support.
For Billy Pieper, preserving what makes Hawaii home goes beyond policy. It means helping others believe it's worth staying, even when so many forces say go.
I operate different here. I played minor league baseball, I played college, I played on the continent, and I don't know, I just feel, and again, it may be supernatural, it might just be mental, but I feel like when I'm here in Hawaii, dealing with stuff that are related to the people in Hawaii, I'm operating at 100%. I'm firing on all cylinders.
What is it about this place that you feel so in flow with? Is it Is it the natural landscape? Is it the community relationships? Is it your own genealogy, right? And being of this place? What do you think it is that has you in flow here better than anywhere else?
I love that. I'm going to use that, in flow, because that's what I feel like. And I think it's all of it. I go back to people, but when you go a level deeper, it's not just the people, it's that they care. They genuinely care about you and your family. But that's, I think, the essence of what makes Hawaii special. This concept that no need goes unmet.
When you're making the pitch to others to make some sacrifices to stay here, because we acknowledge that living here is not always easy, what's the pitch?
I've had several of those conversations with families that were saying, hey, we're going to Texas, we're going to Vegas, right? To a man, every single conversation I have with folks that leave, never do it joyfully. It's like, we're going with the intention to come back. We're going, but that's not home. Hawaii is home. And so that's the only pitch, I guess, that I've been making to folks is, hey, sounds like you already made up your mind to leave, and that's good. But I like your term about you are performing in flow. You are in flow in Hawaii. You're not in flow in Austin. And go there for a season. Have the kids go to school. You're not having to pay $30,000 a year for private education, right? So good, do that, but come back.
Billy's message isn't just about staying, it's about staying connected. As he sees it, the path forward can only be forged together.
I really try to focus on unity. The Bible speaks, about this is Psalm 133, but it basically talks about where there is unity, that's where God bestows his blessing. And I believe that's a principle that can be applied today. Unity doesn't mean we're all kumbaya and everybody agrees on decisions that are being made, but unity in terms of what's the most important thing, and bringing it back to the problems we're facing today. You know what the most important thing, in my opinion, is that the fabric of the community is changing, and local people, especially those who are born and raised here, but don't feel like there's a realistic shot that they can actually thrive in Hawaii. And that is shocking, right? And so to me, if we can all agree on that, the how we're going to disagree. There's going to be a lot of different viewpoints, but if we can all agree that Hawaii is sort of losing her essence, the stuff that makes Hawaii so unique, or the stuff that makes us so unique to other people when we travel across the world, people find out you're from Hawaii, it's a different dynamic, right? Well, we're slowly starting to lose that. So that's, to me, the most important thing.
Why do you think Hawaii is worth fighting for?
Well, my ancestors, I believe, I feel them lobbying with me to say that we can do this. And that's why I think it's worth fighting for, because if it was a foregone conclusion that we just going to be on playground for tourists, then maybe we don't need to fight as hard, right? Or don't need to be, as bold. We use the example of the fish pond, right? Paipai Ohe'ea, where it was overgrown in mangrove just up the yin yang, right? You could even basically make out the fish pond, but they started work rehabilitating the fish pond. And years into it, I would go visit and look like nothing changed. I was like, brother, you guys been here for how long? But what he said was, he goes, actually, no, you incorrect. There is a lot of change happening. You might not see it because the mangrove is still here, and it's kind of choking out some of the the view of the fish pond. But what you'll be surprised to know is that the native birds are starting to return to nest. Some of the native species from the fish pond were returning. So he said, we're making progress. The ecosystem is becoming healthy again. There's harmony. There is unity, in this ecosystem. And that is providing the environment for the natives to return. That example of the fish pond gives me hope that although we don't see drastic numbers of folks returning or housing prices stabilizing and affordable options being added to the inventory by the tens of thousands, we're seeing a lot more, I think, than we've had in the past. Government stepping up, developers stepping up, the nonprofit development community, banks. I just feel like I'm gonna hold on to that metaphor that we are doing stuff, and the metric that we can measure will be the natives returning.
So beautiful. I want to end by asking you, what's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Life isn't about the destination, really. It's about the company along the way. When we're on our deathbed, we're not gonna ask for our Louis Vuitton bags or our newspaper clippings or our, anything material. We're gonna ask for people. If we can put people at the center of our decisions and really think about, from a perspective of care, reciprocity, kindness, that when you boil it down, relationships are what matter most in life. It's not our achievements or the acquisition of things, right? It's people.
It's people. Billy's journey reminds us it's not about how far you go, but who you bring with you. For A Leader's Journey, I'm Yanji Denise.